Okay, this is part 2, and it's only a few seconds after I stopped part 1. You can probably tell me because Katie is still watching Lord of the Rings, and it has only gone on for a few seconds. Who is it? Oh, Aragorn. He is injured. And so, which one is this? This is 2? Yeah, the 2 towers. Oh, right, he fell from the battle. The wargs, the horse. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah, I'll tell you part of the reason why I'm actually filming this on a 360-degree camera. Some of my projects involve working with 360-degree cameras, virtual reality. I had that whole setup back there as kind of a VR setup, and I'm going to actually be doing a demo at Duke sometime soon for hopefully ways of integrating virtual reality into patient therapy in an effective manner. For people who haven't tried virtual reality, if you get a good virtual reality system experience and you have a chance to try it, it's going to be fantastic. You'll love it. You might get nauseous, unfortunately. There's been a few of my friends that have tried it that had problems with motion sickness or nausea. Even myself, I'm very, very prone to nausea issues, and occasionally in certain situations I can find that in VR as well. But for the most part, I'm able to use it just fine and not have that. I can use it for like an hour or two and be comfortable doing that, except where the headset contacts my skin, that can cause kind of inflammation or GVHD issues, just the side effect of my GVHD. But other than that, I think it's got a great therapeutic potential for patients, especially who are trapped inpatient in hospital environments for long periods of time. Just as not just like a therapy kind of thing for a way to get out and explore or have fun or relax or escape, but also as a creative outlet, a way to interact or have new technology, get some experience with that new technology that might be valuable, a way to creatively express oneself, a way to get physical exercise. There's just so many benefits that I think could be there for patients in hospitals that I'm hoping that I can demonstrate that to the recreational therapists and the doctors at Duke, and maybe work with them in a way to make that happen on a trial basis. I think there might be some grant money that could be used for that kind of thing. So that would be one. It's one of several projects that I'm working on that I'm hoping will have some tangible improvement for some people's lives in some fashion. Let's see. What other projects have I been doing? There's the litter cleanup stuff that I was doing around Lake Johnson. I've got a project related to that I'm hoping it's like kind of a gamification of it, mixture or mashup with Pokemon Go a bit. Like, even though I've never played Pokemon Go, I think from what I understand, some of the concepts that I want to integrate in this game are somewhat similar to that. So it's kind of just an easy way of describing the game in a pithy nutshell statement. It's like Pokemon Go and what else? Some other mashup of other things, but it's got some interesting components, maybe some Studio Ghibli inspired stuff, but if I have the time and focus to be able to work on that, I'm very much looking forward to seeing what people do with it. I've been uploading stuff to Google Street View just as a way of experimenting with the cameras and getting exercise at the same time, kind of a synergistic thing. I've got some websites that I'm working on. One of them is going to be called UN Dog, and I won't explain it further than that. It's just a kind of a scheduling friends meetup kind of thing. We'll see. It's just interface improvements that I think might make it interesting and easy for people to arrange to get together with each other and do things easier than it's currently, I think, easy to do. There's another one called Doing Great, which I'm working on with a few different friends to try to get some charitable mashup personal messages related to medical conditions or health conditions that I think are very authentic, very important, and a way of kind of communicating with people effectively about how it is to be affected by a serious medical or mental condition and not be able to talk about it easily with them because they don't really want to hear about that information. It's just, it'll be obvious later once it's actually up and running. I've been getting a lot into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies lately just because of all the news and stuff, but also my background kind of puts me in a position to be able to understand some of the things and appreciate them in a way that I think is somewhat uncommon. So I've been enjoying kind of educating myself about that, getting a little bit involved financially in the whole cryptocurrency arena, but I'm not really treating it like an investment. I'm just kind of treating it like a way to educate myself about something that I think is a very interesting system. Not one without flaws, and definitely not a safe investment or anything, but I'm trying to get certain people aware and involved just for the sake of having that awareness at a time where I think it's very interesting to be able to be involved in it as it's explosively growing in the way that it is, and potentially just failing. Who knows? it remains to be seen what will happen, and I think it's just an interesting thing to be exploring right now. Yeah, and I'm also just working on various projects through a friend of mine, my older roommate Mike. We're trying to figure out ways of just allowing me to contribute in a productive, paid manner for freelance kind of work. If I can do that and get back to work that way, then that would be fantastic. It's pretty decent work. It's not necessarily the stuff that I'm totally passionate about, but it's stuff that gives me good knowledge that I can use for things that I am passionate about, and it lets me work with my good friends. And it's not terrible work. It's pretty good work actually. So it's all these things make it pretty good. I just need to actually be able to physically do the work. Sitting down at a computer or standing if I have a standing desk here. Actually, I can show how that works really quickly. Just by so it's just it's very easy to convert my desk from sitting to standing like that, and lets me actually be upright. But I haven't really noticed that be as much of an impact as I'd wanted it to be with regards to its effectiveness for letting me actually do the work. Plus, it's not really that synergistic with the hip issue that I've got. Like standing for long periods of time is substantially difficult for me just because of the hip pain that kind of comes into play with avascular necrosis. So, still trying to figure it out. Let's see. Yeah, I was hanging out with my friend Brett a lot over the summer, especially while I was not doing so well on Concerta. He was a lot of fun to have around, kind of hang out with, play video games, learned a bit of ukulele. He was teaching me some guitar at times, so that was a lot of fun. He was very generous to come over, just drive out from Durham, often every weekend for a while. We just kind of hang out. I had a spare room here, so he'd be able to sleep over, and he's back at work now for the school year and doing this teaching thing and having great success with getting people the high school equivalency degrees or something like that. Basically, it's a very small classroom environment from what I understand, and kind of like very individual personal attention. It sounds like a very fulfilling teaching position. So I think he's in a pretty good place from what I understand, so that's pretty cool. I've been helping my mom and dad out, kind of just I guess emotionally, I don't really know. Like they put in all that time and work raising me, but also with caring for me through the last, the first part of the bone marrow transplant and the chemo. They were basically living with me from around January, I think, or February of 2015, through October of that year. And there was a period of time where we had to move from the apartment that we were all sharing back to this apartment, because there was a lease snafu. I don't really know what happened, but basically they didn't renew our lease, and so I was left with no option but to move back here, which unfortunately displaced my prior roommate Ty. I'm really sorry for that, Ty. But he was very understanding about that, and he's like, yeah, it's okay. It's just he kind of understood how it all happened, and so for a period of time there was me and my former roommate Ty and my parents all living in this kind of apartment that was really just meant for two people. Which was a very crowded and unfair condition for Ty. So, and also for my parents, which they literally for the better part of 9 or 10 months dedicated their entire lives to just caring for me, basically cooking my meals and cleaning up and driving me places and all that kind of stuff while I was just getting back on my feet and being able to actually care for myself. And by the time they left, I was able to do that, and we all kind of agreed, yeah, it's time for us to kind of go back to our lives and that kind of stuff. I was definitely not the easiest person to be with, especially when you're on high doses of steroids. It really just profoundly affects your mood and your personality for extended periods of time. So you really just become a different person. And that's one of the things that I kind of picked up on during my whole experience, is that sick people can't help but being grumpy. It's one of the quotes from Heinlein that I like. Just when you're sick, especially for a long period of time, you cannot help being a difficult person. It's just not fun to be alive when you're sick, and that just translates into every part of your personality and your interactions with people. It really affects your relationships. It's very isolating because you don't want to be around anybody, but you kind of still need their support, and you kind of still need socialization every now and then. But in general, it's just very unpleasant to just be around people, especially when you're sick. So it's like, maybe that's not true for everybody, but it was for me, and it's very frustrating. And it's great when you have people in your life that are willing to be there and supporting of you, such as Kay was for me, for such a long period of time, and to be able to put up with that. Speaking of Kay, she is, like, we decided it was best for both of our interests to go separate ways. I think it was August of 2015. So that was great. But since then, she met someone else and got married, and so that's fantastic. Congratulations. And honestly, I'm doing fine regardless. Like, one of the different ways my perceptions have shifted is that I'm no longer nearly as focused on trying to be in a relationship or trying to find the right person or that kind of thing. I've been much happier, honestly, and I don't think I'm just rationalizing that to myself, but who knows, of just doing my own thing, kind of just trying to get back on my feet and live a productive life. Maybe get back to a place where I could potentially even consider getting back into relationships or whatever, but I'm not really overly focused on that aspect of it right now. I mean, honestly, part of it is just the physiological stuff. Like when your body gets put through the ringer, it's not exactly something that it makes it easy to go back out and start dating. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, I've got these sores on my skin, these porokeratoses that, they don't look great. All right, it's just a side effect. It's there, but yeah, that kind of stuff. It's just explaining to someone what a fistula is. Not exactly a great conversation starter on a date. So it's just whatever. I'll put up with it until my body, continue. Like, I've actually been healing a lot since I got off some of these medications. So it's like, what's the look for?
Fistula on a first date. Yes.
All right, maybe I
clearly critical.
Well, these are important health-related things. Like, if you're dating someone, you kind of got to be upfront about, all right, yeah, I've had cancer. That's like, I'm not going to, like, wait until a third date for someone to be like, oh, right, yeah, you're a really nice person, I like you a lot, and I just wanted to let you know that, I can't have kids anymore, sorry, just a thing. And so there are just certain things you have to talk about when you've got, these things, and when you have to talk about these things, it makes it difficult, so it's just...
To hurdle, I think the fistula's not as high.
Well, it's just one of those things, it just ends up coming up. It's like, all right, how'd you get the whole hip problem? Well, that was from a recovery of the, surgery from the thing. And they're like, oh, what thing was that? Oh, it was this thing called a fistula. What's that? You don't want to know. It's how it goes. Let's see. Katie moved back in. Thank you very much, Katie, for that. And her cats. So now I've got two wonderful cats that I am apparently not very allergic to. So that's great. Hoping that stays a thing because I really like cats. And I've been allergic to them for most of my life. So maybe that's like the one superpower that I got from getting a new immune system, is that I'm no longer allergic to cats. At least not in the ways that I was before. In the fact that I could not live with anything older than a kitten because it would kill me, biologically. Finances have been interesting, especially the last few months. Being on disability has been like I had to figure out how to go from my certain income to about 60% of that income and get by. And that was not too bad. I just had to cut some things out of my life and had to make certain, sacrifices with regards to, all right, maybe not spending quite so much and stop contributing to my 401k, that kind of stuff. So that was interesting. But then when I started feeling much better and started just doing all the things, like getting all the projects and doing whatever it took to actually try to make those projects work, I just started spending money in a way that I hadn't spent money before. I was just like, I was spending it in the same mindset, but before I was spending it much slower because I didn't really need to do much. I didn't need to want to work on things or do new projects, and so I didn't need to go out and buy new things. But when I want to work on a project and I need a camera to do it, I'm like, yeah, sure, I'm buying that $800 camera. Oh, wait, there's another one. I want to test that. All right, I'm buying that $400 camera. And, oh, I need all these accessories to make that all work. And, all right, so there's another few $100s. And, oh, wait, a VR rig will help me look at the images a lot better, and I have to kind of work with that. So there's another $3,000. And suddenly you're spending a lot of money very quickly. And justifying it all well, it's just that my bank account went from like $18,000 to $4,000 overnight. Literally, I racked up all these charges, and then I was looking at credit cards that I'd forgotten that I hadn't really paid off, and there was like a $9,000 debt that I had not accounted for. And I'm like, well, so it was interesting just to deal with that in the sense of a reminder of, all right, well, I'm kind of like manic now in a certain way, and like kind of like bipolar, and I gotta watch how I'm doing certain things and kind of maybe rein myself in a little and be a little more prudent and cautious. The Bitcoin thing, I hope, is not a manifestation of the mania. I think it's actually an intelligent and difficult buy that I might still lose a lot of money on, a lot in the sense of I've exposed myself to about $6,000 in the crypto arena. But I think it's a good hedge for various complicated reasons that I won't get into here. And I don't think it's a manic thing. I think it's actually well informed. But that again could be inaccurate. Who knows? Let's see. Sorry, I'm just going through the list of notes that I'd gotten to try to cover the things that I wanted to cover just as a follow-up to the original series of videos that I put out. I guess, I mean, that's a lot of it. I've been able to go to some events. I got to see Caitlin Doughty when she came and gave a talk out in Durham a while back. I got to see Neil deGrasse Tyson last year. He was a lot of fun. He did this whole kind of movie commentary thing that was a hoot. I went dressed up as Bill Nye, and nobody noticed, I think, but it was still fun. I went to see Rodrigo and Gabriela last week, or no, not last week, a few weeks ago, and they were fantastic. And I got to see Dream Theater with Katie not too long ago, and they were also really good. It was a really fun show, and I hadn't seen that. The last time I saw them was like in 1994. God, that was like 23 years ago or something. But yeah, so long time ago, and they were still fantastic. The instrument playing was just phenomenal. Quite a show. And let's see. Yeah, I mentioned just helping out my mom and dad. I think just they've been dealing with some issues. My dad's been dealing with some stress. I feel really bad for people in my parents' generation, and I shouldn't. It sounds kind of discounting, I guess, but I feel like they were prior to the internet, so they didn't really have a lot of the globalization, a lot of the kind of global mindset shifts and changes that we've seen over the last 20 years or so with the internet. And there was very much a structure to society with what it meant to succeed, how to have like a 9-to-5 job, how to what religion was and its role, and what the institution was. Just a path in life. You go to school, you go to college, you get a degree, you get a job, you work 9 to 5, you have kids, you have a family. Just this kind of standard approach to life that I felt was just kind of institutionalized, and it kind of gave a very certain mindset that I think made a lot of people very unhappy, but not knowing why they were unhappy and not really equipped with the tools to be introspective and deconstruct why they were unhappy. And so I think for my parents, it's kind of a case of they're waking up to a lot of this over the last several years especially, and learning how to unlearn a lot of these behaviors or these mindsets, and they're adjusting their mentalities and their realities, and they're trying to cope with the difficulties and challenges of that were extraordinarily difficult for me to do at an early age, and they're doing it like the age of 60 and 70. It's like, incredibly difficult, and they're still doing a great job at it, and so I'm really happy that they're able to do that, because I really want to see them have the kind of happiness that I think they can have if they're able to change their minds in the ways that I think need to happen. And I think that just needs to happen. It doesn't need to, but I think that a lot of people in that generation, a lot of parents of my peers, seem like they have those mindsets where they would benefit so much from just learning to think about things in a different way. And it's so incredibly difficult to do, to shift your mindset from certain values and certain beliefs to maybe things that are a little closer to ways that would be more productive or bring happiness or more fulfillment or that kind of thing. So it's difficult for me to go into specifics because I very rapidly get judgmental, very rapidly start saying things that I probably shouldn't, I purposely avoid the subject specifically because it's more of a personal matter of whatever works for people themselves, and not really what I think should happen. But I love Alan Watts. Thank you very much, Bale. Bale. Oh my gosh, I forget your last name offhand, but you're still a friend on Facebook. But yeah, my friend Bale out in San Diego referred me to Alan Watts over a dinner conversation many years ago, and just watching a lot of Alan Watts' things online or on YouTube have just really been transformative for me, and just opening up my mind about certain subjects and getting me to think about things in certain ways. He's just a really pithy philosopher who has a way with words and a way with ideas that's just really beautiful sometimes. Sometimes he just talks a lot, but he's a pretty funny guy, pretty happy guy, or was rather. Let's see. So I talked about most of the major things, I think. I'm really looking forward, hopefully, to getting a lot of this project work done, especially over the next few months, early 2018. Maybe getting back to work if I can in some fashion. I've got some things lined up that may or may not work out depending on what I'm able to do. So I'm really looking forward to that. Looking forward to life in general, hopefully continued health, at least for a few years, so that I can accomplish some of these things. Really looking forward to the singularity and transhumanism so I can ditch this terrible body and get back into a fantastic, I don't know, Ghost in the Shell-like situation of being in a cyber android thing and, I don't know, maybe have Westworld style, turn up the intelligence all the way kind of stuff. That'd be great. Love it. Are we on board with that, Katie? Westworld intelligence, just the dial, spin it all the way. Yeah.
There's no negative side effects.
You're right. As long as it doesn't make us murderous megalomaniacs that want to kill everybody.
Murder might be okay. Megalomania less so, but the murder, it's already there.
Well, if even megalomania is okay as long as it's like an Anakin style. It's like, I just want what's best for everyone, and I know how to do it because I'm so super smart now. Now I just need the control, need the agency to do that.
Good luck with that.
Well, I'm not there yet. I'm saying though, if I go transhuman and get all the intelligence, that might be a thing. Sorry for everyone if that happens. It's the best of intentions, and hopefully it won't happen. But maybe. You got some action going on outside. It's attracting the cats. I think there's some birds out there fluttering around. They are definitely interested in that.
Bunker knows how to hunt. You see them out.
Yeah, both of them are totally. Their tails are going. Kitten's vocalizing. Yeah, I can see his whiskers moving. They are super excited. Hey, kitten, you are totally a killer. So yeah, every day is very much a journey. Like literally every day, my day is totally packed with things that I would not have expected even the previous day. And usually I'm just saying yes to things and I'm just doing them and I'm loving it. It's an adventure. It's a little frustrating at times because I actually want to get certain things done, and when I'm always moving from one thing to another unpredictably, I'm often not getting things done. But slowly but surely over the period of weeks I am. It's just, I'm switching gears so often and taking on new things that it seems like I'm not. And sometimes I'm dropping things and letting the ball go kind of thing, but oftentimes I'm not. So yeah, I guess this 15-minute talk ended up being more like 25 or, no, I guess more like 45 or 50, so sorry about that, Katie. Kind of impacted your, oh, well, you're at least paused the movie.
Oh yeah, no, like...
Oh, gotcha, because of the kitties.
I love it when they do that chirpy thing.
I can see his whiskers. Oh, that's how he's going.
Him.
Yeah, he's going. The camera can't hear it, I'm sure. Maybe in the higher frequencies, I can hear what he's doing though. He's super excited. And yeah, so that's the 1116th day after my transplant. I'm doing really great, really glad that I have gotten to this point, that I've survived this long, and I'm able to actually hopefully pay back some of the significant efforts of not just myself and my parents, but the doctors and caretakers and medical providers that have helped get me to the point where I am, the insurance even.